Hi, welcome back to New Venture Creation. I'm Neil Fogarty, and today we're going to be talking about Chapter 7, which is talking about industries and competitors. Industries and competitors in Chapter 7. Now, in Chapter 7, we have 4 major topics I want to raise in Chapter 7. And we're going to be introducing a couple of really cool models for you with regard to business analysis that might help you out not only as you're starting your business, but as you're growing it and it develops as well. So let's start off. The first of the 4 major topics I have is you have to determine what industry you're in. What industry you're in. Now, your industry, it consists of other organizations that your business competes with. Other organizations that your business competes with. Questions you should ask, with regard to trying to determine what industry you're in. You should ask at least 3, according to the author. You want to ask, who are your competitors? Who is providing similar products to you? And also, who has a similar process or model? Similar process and model. Now, as you get an idea, I think most people, when they start a business, they have an idea what industry they're in. The next thing you want to do, still in this, which industry are you in? You want to look at 1 or 2 different sets of industry classification codes. The older code is known as SIC, which is a standard industry code, and the newer code is the NAICS code. With regard to that, you'll still see a lot of SIC materials out there, and SIC, the C stands for code, but people still call it the SIC code, so you're entering it by saying the SIC code. So be careful about that. But the NAICS, the more recent of these, is newer. And I thought I'd give you an idea of what the various numbers in your code means. You're going to get a code for various industries, and it's usually about 6 digits long. So what does each of those digits mean? What does it refer to? Well, the first 2 digits in your 6-digit number that you're going to get, they refer to the economic sector that your business is in. The 3rd digit talks about a subsector within that. Maybe you're in the automobile industry and now you're in the luxury automobiles or something, subsector. The 4th digit is going to talk about your industry group. Your industry group. Oh, okay, the group of these luxury competitors were in this, that, and the other, the industry group. The 5th digit is going to talk about and give you the identification for the NAICS industry that you're in. And then the 6th digit is going to relate to the national industry, So once you start to figure out, what industry you're in, it probably isn't a bad idea to go and find out what is the NAICS code for you, or what's the SIC code that we have. Either of those 2 will certainly help you in finding out information about your industry and information about your competitors. So you want to get that. You want to get that number. The second major topic. That's the first major topic. What industry are you in, and particularly of that, how do I get my industry number? The second major topic is direct versus indirect competitors. What's the difference? You have lots of competitors, and you can probably divide them into at least 3. We're going to talk about someone who actually divides them up a little bit further as we go along. But the 3 that your textbook talks about are very good. You have what are called direct competitors. There's a buzz phrase for you, direct competitors. These are head-to-head competitors. They're and here's another buzzword for you, they're your rivals that you have. Basically what they do is they solve customers' problems the same way that you do. And I'm going to give you an example of all 3 of these in just a moment. So direct, head-to-head rivals, they solve customer problems the same way that you do. The second type of competitor, according to your book, are indirect competitors. Indirect competitors, they solve your customers' problems using alternative solutions, an alternate solution for it. And then the final type of competitor, substitutes, they offer a somewhat far different alternative to solve your customers' problems. Let me give you an example of all three of these, kind of put it a little bit in better perspective, perhaps. Let's say that you open up a pizza shop. Your direct head-to-head competitors, your rivals, are going to be other pizza shops. You're opening up your mom and pop pizza shop, and down the street there's a Domino's and there's a Pizza Hut and whatever. These are your direct head-to-head competitors, are also known as rivals. But in addition to that, if somebody wants to get a pizza, let's say they're walking here in State College at Penn State, there's a lot of restaurants on the main drag downtown right across from the campus. So let's say they come to your pizza shop, they're hungry, they want a pizza, and they come to your pizza shop, but there's a line. Lots of students, classes just got out, there's a line, etc. They're still hungry, they're still looking for something to eat, but they notice that right next to you there is a hamburger shop, a sandwich shop of some sort. Now, in this particular case, they're hungry. They'd like to have pizza, but they're hungry and they don't want to wait. So maybe they're going to go into an indirect competitor store. Maybe they're going to buy a hamburger or a chicken sandwich or something like that. The third type, this substitute, is they eventually say, it's not worth it. I'm just going to go home. And on the way home, they see a grocery store and decide to drive into the grocery store and they buy a frozen pizza and take it home, etc., to cook it there. Well, the grocery store is going to be a substitute. You can see it's somewhat far different from an indirect or a direct competitor, but they're still serving to fulfill that same need that the customer had. I'm hungry. I'd like to have pizza. I might go for something else, but I'm hungry. So again, direct, indirect, and substitutes. One of the things you want to do as you start your business, one of the things you want to do in our class with regard to the business that you're starting, for the various labs that we have and the team term project at the end, is you want to identify who are your direct competitors, who are your indirect competitors, and what substitutes are out there, at least the main substitutes that you have. That finishes up the second point of the 4 under industries and competitors. Let's go to the third major topic, and the third major topic is something called Porter's 5 forces. Porter's 5 forces. Sometimes you'll see this abbreviated as a capital P, the number 5, and then a capital F, P5F, and that stands for Porter's 5 forces. Let me give you an idea of what we're talking about here. I'm going to show you a slide in a moment as well. Michael Porter is a professor at Harvard, and he writes lots of articles on business, particularly on business strategy. And unlike so many professors that are out there and other instructors, etc., who do all this research that nobody ever reads, and it's usually not very practical, etc., it's very theoretical. Michael Porter writes some really great articles about some really practical things that can really help your business out. And one of the things that he developed in his studies and in his writings and research, etc., is he came out with a model, Porter's 5 forces, to help you to take a look at your industry and see whether or not it's an attractive industry to be in, and give you an idea of some of the things you have to look at in this industry. So the first point that I want to make here is it's a model used by lots of businesses to help them understand their industry and market, to understand the position they are in that industry or market, understand the forces that are going to impact their business in that market, and also understand themselves. Porter's 5 forces, if you do that on yourself, on your business that you have, it's going to help you in a lot of different ways, including giving you a better idea of who you are. So with regard to Porter's 5 forces, the second point I have for you here under it is what's it do? How does it help you if you use it? What will it yield? Well, there's a couple things mentioned by your book. The first, it'll give you an idea of the intensity of the competition. I've decided to get into market X. Doing a Porter's 5 forces, one of the things it's going to do is give you an idea how intense is the competition. Am I fighting off, the dogs and the wolves every day? Is it maybe not that competitive? I think in an earlier class we talked about red oceans and blue oceans and stuff like that. Is this an ocean where it's just so red with blood? I mean, it is really red. Or is it kind of maybe a pink thing because there's a little competition, but not much? Or is it a blue ocean where there's really no competition at all? So it's going to give you an idea of the intensity of the competition. It's also going to give you an idea of the attractiveness or the lack thereof of the market. Should I get into this market? Oh, this is a great market to get into. Oh, no, don't get into it. We've got some problems here. It'll give you an idea of the attractiveness of the market. Another thing it'll do is it'll give you an idea how you either might fit in the market, or if you've already started, how you do fit in the market. Again, it gives you an idea of the whole market, etc., and it kind of gives you an idea where you're positioning yourself. Remember, a key phrase that we talked about with regard to strategy in an earlier chapter is you want to position yourself for success, position yourself for that competitive advantage, particularly one that can sustain or whatever. This will give you an idea of how you fit into the market, and the fit will give you an idea where your position is. Also, it'll give you an idea of the potential profitability you're going to have. Is it a really good market? Is it a tight market? Is it in between, etc.? That's going to have an impact on the profitability you have. Also, it's going to give you some ideas of what strategies your business should use or maybe not use. Certain markets fit certain strategies, other markets fit other strategies. Which type of strategy are you going to use? Well, you want to find one that fits your market. And then another thing it's going to tell you is it easy to enter this industry? Maybe also tell you if it's easy to exit, but particularly is it easy to enter or is it hard to enter? Think about it. If it's easy to enter and you're just starting, that's not a bad thing, right? You can get into that market. But if it's easy to enter and you're already in the market, you've invested time, money, etc., now it's easy for other people to get in. All of a sudden now you had started off, you had 3 competitors, now 5 more just joined. That might be a bad thing. So I'll give you an idea how easy it is to enter the market. As I said a little bit later on, it might even show you how easy or hard it is to get out of the market that we have. Another point that I have here with regard to this concept of Porter's 5 forces is keep in mind the name of the model. Porter's 5 forces. So basically what he's saying with the name of this model, there are 5 forces in virtually every market, every industry that you can get into that are going to impact your business, that are going to impact that marketplace that we have. Now, it's interesting. Let me start off. He talks about 5 forces, and I'm going to show them to you in a moment on this graph. In fact, maybe I should do that right now. Let me stop for a second in the video and let me insert this this graphic showing you a Porter's 5 forces model. Now, as you can see from that model, you can see the 5 forces that he has. And it's interesting, he really has 3 basic forces. One of them he breaks down into 3 categories, and that gives you the 5. One of his categories of a force in your marketplace, your customers. That's certainly going to be a force. It's going to tell you how good this market is, how attractive or unattractive it might be. It's going to give you an idea of things you're going to have to do with regard to it. Is it a profitable market? Is it a good one for me, etc. So your customers certainly are powerful. They can give you an idea of what products you're going to sell, how you're going to sell them, when you're going to sell them, how you're going to price them, and other things like that. So there's the first major force we'll talk about is the power of your customers, and also how many of them do you have, and what trends do you see, etc. The second major force that you have, the power of your suppliers. The power of your suppliers. Think about it. Let's go back just to a pizza shop example. Certainly for a pizza shop, I'm going to need somebody to supply me with the various food ingredients, right? I need tomato sauce, and I need dough, and I probably need some meats and some vegetables, etc. For my pizzas. I've got that. There's probably other things too, sauce and whatever you're going to have. But in addition to that, don't I need probably pizza boxes, and don't I need probably napkins, and I'm probably going to be selling some drinks for people, some refreshments or whatever. Do I need cups? Do I need straws and lids and things of that nature? And on top of that, don't I need ovens to bake the pizza? Don't I need freezers and refrigerators for the various items I'm going to be holding on to? Don't I need various cooking utensils? I don't know if I necessarily need a pan, although I guess some pizza shops have pan pizza, etc. And maybe I'm selling other things other than pizza, and I need pans for it. You might need trays or things to flip the pizza with, etc. You're probably going to need to have knives and forks and spoons, etc. Probably need other things like salt and pepper. And of course, you're probably going to need some chairs, and you're probably going to need some tables, and you're probably going to need electricity, and you probably need water and other things. And I suppose also you need a place to be. You might have to be renting this or whatever. So you have quite a lot of suppliers, even just for a simple pizza shop. So one of the things you want to do is you want to do an analysis of your suppliers, just as you did an analysis of your customers with regard to this power. You want to do an analysis of your suppliers. How many do I have? Where are they located? What do they charge? Are they reliable, etc.? Do they have a lot of power? Let's say, for example, I'm in a market where there aren't too many suppliers. They can pretty much dictate to me things, because if I don't like it, too bad, there's no place else to go. But maybe I'm in a market where there's lots of suppliers. So there's lots of things you want to take a look at. And one of the things you're going to want to do with regard to your business, as well as the assignments and project in this class, is you want to do an analysis of your suppliers. Who are they, and are they good, bad, and how powerful they're going to be, etc. The third force, one that he'll end up breaking down into parts, are the power of your competitors. The power of your competitors. Think about it. Your competitors, they're not at your door with baseball bats saying, if you don't do this, we're going to hit you against the wall or whatever. They do have a lot of power over you. What they offer, how they offer it, the pricing they offer for all sorts of things like that, how they treat customers, whatever. Your competitors are going to have an awful lot of power in determining how you're going to run your business. So what Michael Porter does is he takes the force of competitors and he divides it into three. He talks about your rivals. Remember, he talked about rivals just a little bit ago, where your author talked about this, and he said rivals are your direct head-to-head competitors. You're also going to look at another type of competitor, your substitutes. Your substitutes, and you said before, they don't do things exactly like you do, a little bit different, etc. And then Michael adds a new type of competitor that really wasn't mentioned by your textbook, although we did kind of talk a little bit about it at another point. He talks about new entrants. New entrants. These are new businesses that enter your market, enter your industry. There's more competition for you. And he defines new entrants into two types. One type of new entrant is a new business, new mom and pop shop or something. One day I'm the only pizza shop in town, and the next day somebody else opens up a mom and pop pizza shop on the other side of town or whatever. That's a new entrant. But he also says another type of new entrant, besides a new business, a new mom and pop shop starting up. Another type is someone who already has an established business, maybe making something a little bit different, but they figure out how to tweak that, and all of a sudden what they're selling is now in competition with you. But unlike a new mom and pop shop, these people have money, they have know-how, they have contacts, they have name recognition and a good reputation. They know how to do this stuff. They're far along in the learning curve, etc. And he was basically saying, with regard to this type of new entrant, more so than the mom and pop shop, is something you really have to be concerned about. Let me give you an example here with regard to it. Up until sometime, I guess, in the, I'm going to guess 1980s or whatever, if anybody wanted to go out and buy a spray can of disinfectant to disinfect their kitchen counters, maybe their bathroom counters or whatever, there was really only one brand that did that, and it was Lysol. Lysol had a competitive advantage over everybody else in the market and was sustaining it. Very few, if any, but other competitors were making that. And those that were probably small and localized, or there were companies like Glade that made things that you spray and it smelled good, but it didn't really kill the germs. So Lysol was sitting back thinking, well, we're king of the hill here, queen of the hill, we're on top, no one's going to knock us off. And unbeknownst to Lysol, one of the other companies that you saw a lot of products in grocery stores, just like Lysol's in grocery stores, saw a lot, that also made a product that killed germs, was Clorox. Clorox made bleach. Bleach kills germs. The trouble is, if you took bleach and you poured it on kitchen countertops or whatever, the odds are it's going to stain or bleach it and change the color or the intensity of the color, etc. So Clorox is never really on the radar for Lysol. Go make your bleach. As people are washing their white socks or whatever, that's great, but we don't have to worry about that. Well, what they didn't know is Clorox was changing the chemistry of bleach, and they came out with products that had bleach in them that would kill things, but didn't change color. And that's where Clorox came out with a line of spray disinfectants, etc. Well, think about this. When Clorox entered the market with its own spray disinfectant, Lysol was literally blindsided by it. And this, of course, was a big problem because Clorox had a ton of money. They knew how to sell things. They had shelf space. They had contacts, all this other stuff. And Lysol lost a huge percentage of its market almost instantaneously. And it never really fully gained it back. Why? Because we had a new entrant, but it wasn't your new mom and pop store. It wasn't a new business. It was someone with an established business that was able to enter that market. They had some know-how, etc. They tweaked their product, and surprise, we're there. So again, with regard to Porter, the last of these forces, the competitor, you divide into three, and there's your five forces, right? You take a look on there, your customers, your suppliers, your rivals, your substitutes, and your new entrants. One of the things I'm going to suggest that you do as you're putting together your business, and even after you've got it going, and certainly as you do it for the various labs and assignments and the term project in here, is you want to do a Porter's Five Forces for your business. It will help you to identify your market and the forces in your marketplace, what's attractive, what's not, where do you position yourself, is this a good market to get into? It will be very helpful for you. Well, there's one last thing I want to mention about Porter's Five Forces. If you think about it, we have a problem with it because although Porter identified, the three major ones, we probably call it five, major forces in a marketplace that impact a business. There are other forces that impact a business, and they're not in the five. For example, you have, the political environment. That's going to impact your business. Economics, the economy's good, economy's bad. That's going to impact your marketplace. So one of the things that we saw is because there were these other forces, a new model came out. And this new model, I'll pronounce it first, I'll spell it, and I'll show you a slide, is used in conjunction with, not in place of, but with, in addition to, Porter's Five Forces. And this model is called, and again, I'll pronounce it first and I'll spell it. It's an acronym, right? All the letters are capitalized and each one means something. The new model is called PESTLE, and that's spelled P-E-S-T-L-E, P-E-S-T-L-E, and again, they're all capital. Let me put the slide up for that right now. Let me stop this for a second, put the slide up. Now, from what you can see on that model, let's take a look at what the letters stand for. The P stands for your political environment, what's going on politically. And you can add to that, what's going on with the various government, your government, and maybe you're an international business, other governments, etc. The P stands for the political environment. The E stands for the economic environment. economy growing? Is it shrinking? We have inflation, unemployment. What do we have going on? That's certainly going to be a force impacting your business. So it talks about the economic environment. The S, that talks about the social environment. The social environment. And what's going on socially where you're located. It's going to have a lot to do with regard to your customers and what they're doing and other things like that. For example, think how the social environment has changed in the last several years as the Gen Zers came in and replaced the Gen Y millennials, who had replaced the Gen X, and then the baby boomers. Society changed quite a bit. As each of those generations went on. So society has something to do with your business. It's certainly a force on your business. The next letter we have there, the T, that stands for technology. Technology can easily change your business. Think, your current smartphone. Just a couple of years ago, it was just a regular phone. It didn't do very much. It did some things, but not much. Now, your current smartphone does things which the early rocket ships that we used to launch people to the moon couldn't even do. So you can see how technology has changed, and doesn't that change how you're going to do business? Certainly it's a force that you have to reckon with. The next letter, the next E, is talking really about the environment, the saving the whales and global warming and things of that nature. What you find is the environment is certainly going to be a force on your business. Not only you might have a particular drive that you have, with regard to, say, your carbon footprint and global warming, maybe your customers do as well, but it could also impact you too and impact your business as well. So the full environment here is certainly going to have an impact on you. And think about if you have a healthy and good environment, don't you think that's probably going to help with regard to business? Whereas if the environment's bad, it might hurt, unless you happen to have a product that fits that and helps people in a bad environment. So again, environment is certainly going to be a force to reckon with. And then the final letter, the L that you have there, the L stands for the legal environment. The legal environment. What's going on legally? That can include government regulation. If you didn't include it in politics, the P can include government regulation. Who's suing who? What is everybody suing everybody? How the court's standing? What are they doing? Court decisions. Supreme Court decisions and other things that have an impact, etc. and things. So the legal environment. So if you think about it, that force too has an impact on your business. All these do. Troublewood Porter's 5 forces, as good as it is, and it is good, believe me, it's good. It doesn't take a look at these other forces that will also impact your business. So if you want to do a good analysis of the environment you're getting into, of your market and your industry, you want to use both Porter's 5 forces and Pestle. And I would highly recommend that with regard to your business in the future, whether you're just starting it up or years from now it's running, and certainly with regard to the labs and assignments and projects in this class, what you're going to want to do is both a Porter's and a Pestle. Well, that takes us to the fourth and final topic that we want to talk about today, yet one more model to talk about. And this is one that you probably have heard of, at least I know some students normally have heard of it. And once again, it's an acronym. It's all capital letters, and each letter stands for a word. Let me first pronounce it, and then let me tell you what it stands for, and also show you a slide. The next model, the final model, is called SWOT. SWOT, S-W-O-T, S-W-O-T. Then let me bring up the slide for that one now. So there you have SWOT, and you can see the SWOT stands for. The S stands for strengths, the W stands for weaknesses, the O stands for opportunities, and the T stands for threats. And by the way, I've also heard people turn it around a little bit, and they call it TOWS, or TOWS, T-O-W-S. Same thing, you just use it a little bit differently, different perspective, but same thing. So let's take a look at this. What you probably want to do is you want to do a SWOT on yourself. Clearly I would do a SWOT on any business I'm starting. But it might not even be a bad idea to do it just on yourself on occasion. You probably want to know what your strengths are. What are your weaknesses? Do you have any opportunities? What are they? And are there any threats? Something's going to come along and knock you for a loop or knock you off your feet. Now, if you take a look at this, not only do you want to do a SWOT on you and your business, but as that slide showed, you probably want to do a SWOT on your major competitors. I'd do it probably on the top rivals I had. I'm not so sure if I'd do it on the other ones, but maybe I'd do it on the substitutes, and I might do it on the the direct, indirect, and also the new entrants if I had an idea who they might be. But you definitely want to do a SWOT on yourself and your main rivals. And you can see here is in the cola industry how it's done. Think about this too. The SW part of SWOT, strengths and weaknesses, that's usually talking about doing an internal analysis. What strengths does my business have? What weaknesses do I have? What do I have as strengths and weaknesses? You're looking inside yourself. You're looking inside your business. Whereas the O and the T, the opportunities and threats, that generally is looking outside yourself. That's not looking at the internal environment, it's looking at the external environment. Your opportunities tend to come, well, you might have an internal opportunity, I can be a better person or whatever, but the opportunities for business growth, etc., are usually coming from the environment. It's not in you, it's not in your business, it's outside. And the threats, sometimes you're a threat to yourself, right? I got that. Sometimes you're your own worst enemy. But oftentimes the threats are on the outside. It's your competition. It's change in the environment. It's new government regulations or whatever. So one of the things you want to take a look at is the SW usually talks about doing an internal analysis, whereas the OT usually talks about doing an external analysis. I cannot imagine someone who is going into business, has an idea, a great idea, and it fills the needs of a whole bunch of customers, and they start to put this together and that together. I can't imagine, though, not at least spending some time doing a SWOT analysis. Because whereas Porter is going to help you to figure out where you are in the environment, etc., and Pestle is going to help you, I think SWOT's going to help you as well. Because you can know about your customers and your suppliers and your competitors. You can know about the political and the economic and the social and the the technological, legal environment, etc., and their whole environment, etc. You can do all those things, but you also have to know yourself. What are my strengths and weaknesses? And then when I look at that environment that Porter's and Pestle help me, do I see any opportunities out there for me? Do I see any threats? If I see opportunities, I want to make some adjustments to go after them. If I see threats, I want to avoid them or put up defenses or be ready for them. With regard to my strengths, I want to play to the strengths that I have. With regard to my weaknesses, I want to figure out what I can do to strengthen myself and to get that weakness away. Maybe it's something that I can do insofar as, go take a couple of classes and learn this, that, or the other. Or maybe I just hire new people and, to fill in gaps on my team. Geez, I have a great team and we're all technological people and we know all sorts of things about our product, but we don't have anybody on here who knows anything about marketing. So maybe I want to go out and hire somebody, either full-time in-house or, as an outside consultant, but maybe I want to go out and hire a marketing person to help shore up that weakness, etc. So here we go, right? We're looking at your market, we're looking at your industry, we're looking at your competitors, etc. If you do these analyses, if you do a Porter's Five Forces and a Pestle and a SWOT, hopefully do it, fairly well. You don't have to go out and pay somebody to do this, but just do some research or whatever. You will have a much better idea of who you are, who your business, what your business is, who your business is, and the environment you're in. And if you have a better idea about those things, the odds that you're going to be successful increase. The odds that you're not going to make a stupid mistake increase. The odds that you know what risk you're taking increase. It's just a really good idea to do a Porter's Five Forces, a Pestle, and a SWOT. Well, if you have any questions, certainly let me know. I hope you enjoyed today's lecture. I hope in some way it helps you and a planned business you might have in the future, and I also hope it helps you with regard to the business you're putting together in class. With that said and done, I'm done for the day. I hope you have a great day coming up. But thanks so much for the time that you spent with me. Talk to you later. Bye-bye.